form does matter, Steve.
Form does matter. Yeah. And it's amazing because look at all these forms here that I bet you $1 million someone's got in their pantry right now.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
At least 2 of those. If a cheap multivitamin doesn't have 2 of those, I'd be horrified. I'd be amazed.
Yeah. Well, even a lot of the well-known greens powders that are out on the market that have all the micronutrients in them, they have all those forms in them.
Really?
Yep. Some of the big brand ones do, yep. So check your greens powders if you've got your micronutrients in there as well.
People are going to throw their B vitamins out after listening to us.
Well, they might be going to go check them and see what's
yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to the ATP project. With Steve and Nick.
Why are you laughing, Nick?
We were laughing before, and then you were doing funny things with your face.
Oh, doing funny things with my face. Yeah. Now today you want to talk about nutrients like folic acid and magnesium and B6 and a few other things like that. You know, we're talking about nutrients, but we're talking about nutrients that may be harmful.
Yes. Ooh, we need like sound effects.
As I drink
ding,
my...
ding, ding.
Yeah, it's magnesium, so I've got magnesium here.
Is
this going to kill me, this magnesium?
Well, it depends. Depends on what form it is, Steve.
Oh, you're giving stuff away. It's all about the forms today.
It is all about the forms.
Because magnesium, we need it to live.
Yeah.
We're talking about vitamin B9 too, folic acid.
Yep.
And that's bad. And then we're talking about stuff you find in carrots, beta-carotene. That's bad. And B6 found in meat. That's bad.
That's bad.
We're talking about bad stuff today.
It's all bad.
But what's the go? I mean, what are we talking about?
No, so we're actually going to talk about these nutrients that you listed off, and there's different forms of these nutrients. So we have some cheap inactive forms of some of these, and we have more active forms. So we're going to talk about what's the best form. And what's bad and what's good about it, either and both.
Right, I get you. So we're talking about carotenoids, which is found in foods and vegetables and coloured stuff.
Yeah.
And we're going to say some of them can be bad in the wrong form, in the wrong amount, and some of them can be very, very good for you.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's not about I'm taking a multivitamin, I'm fine sort of thing.
Yes.
Stuff in multivitamins can be bad.
100%. And I see it all the time in clinic because I always check what people are taking, supplements and things like that to see what's what and what they're on. And a lot of people are taking a really inexpensive, cheap form of a lot of these nutrients.
Wow.
Which in some people is no problem. And we're going to discuss who really shouldn't be taking some of these forms and who can.
So you're saying one man's food's another man's poison?
Can be.
Oh, you're talking about Hippocrates. I love it. And you know what? This is no joke, and I'm not joking here. I just thought of another one that we haven't got on our list, but I can talk about later.
Okay. Ooh, the secret mystery.
Secret mystery nutrient.
Ooh, okay.
That's
on the edge of my seat.
You should
not.
Be. You're not, are you? You don't care. I just thought of it. I thought I should have got paper on it, but we don't need paper on it because it's pretty obvious. This one.
On camera, Steve.
All right. So some of these nutrients are bad. Let's start with. I'm going to call it vitamin B9 because it's got a lot of different names for it.
It does.
It's called folic acid or methyl tetrahydrofolate and all of folicin and folinic acid and all this stuff. What the hell are we talking about there? That's it.
Exactly what we're talking about. Folate, so B9 or in other words, folic acid. So folic acid is a synthetic form of folate. Right. Folate is what we find in our foods, in our leafy greens and things like that.
The word folate comes from foliage, so it's found in foliage.
That's right.
So very interestingly, it's in a lot of different forms that I mentioned through before.
Yeah.
So I mean, how is this? This is one of the B vitamins. Now, B vitamins needs is essential for life.
Yeah, yeah.
Without vitamins, we get sick.
We do. Yeah.
So you're telling me folic acid is bad?
Can be. It can be bad. So as I said, folic acid is the synthetic form of folate. Can't get it in nature.
No, you can, it's found if you cook, and it's some, but very minimal. Very minimal. Yeah.
So that's probably the form you'll find in most multis that are, but maybe a little bit on the more inexpensive side because it's a cheap form. It's super cheap, and so of course
it's super stable too.
It is stable. Yeah.
They even put it in foods.
They do?
Have you heard of it?
Yes, we're going to talk about that. Oh, there's a whole group of people there that may be having way too much folic acid.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh.
Unconsciously, not knowing.
We both saw a supplement before that if you take, it is frankly dangerous.
It is.
It can be harmful.
Yeah, it's very high levels of folic acid, very high, 5 milligrams.
Yeah.
And we're talking micrograms when we're talking about folates and things like that.
So we need about 400 micrograms, which is 0.4 of a milligram.
Yeah.
And you said there's a tablet that's 5 milligrams of a good or bad form of folate.
Bad form. Well, bad form for some people, but even in that amount, bad for everybody.
Yeah.
Like too much. Yeah.
And it's found in all pharmacies. I think it's what Schedule 3 poison. So you have to get it off the pharmacist, but you don't need a prescription. That's what Schedule 3 means.
Yeah.
There's Schedule 4, which are the drugs, the Prozacs and the antibiotics, and the Schedule 2s, you get it from a pharmacy, but you don't need the pharmacist. So just a little bit about the poison schedule.
So you could go into a pharmacy and say, I have a folate deficiency, and they could and I need some folic acid, and they could hand it over, and here you go, take one of these every day, 5 milligrams of folic acid, massive.
It's indicated for the treatment of megablastic anemia.
Yeah.
Which is a B12 and a B9 or folic acid.
Steve-O.
Yes.
Guess what?
What?
We've got some exciting news.
Oh, my God.
Black Friday sales are coming up.
Oh, Black Friday.
I've been hanging out all year for these. So we have a little bit of a deal going on, apparently.
Tell us.
So if you sign up early for early access. So early access starts on the 22nd of November. So if you sign up for that and you're one of the first 100 people to sign up, you get 40% off.
Did you say 40?
40% off.
40.
It's nearly half, Steve. Amazing, right?
Oh, yeah.
But don't worry, because if you have signed up for early access and you aren't one of the first 100, you'll still get 35% off.
35. That's huge.
Anyone after the first 100, you still get 35% off instead of the usual 30% off.
Oh, my God.
Are you keeping up with me?
I am keeping up with you.
And then if you miss out on that, or you go, I missed the early access, God damn it, don't worry. Because on the 25th of November, the actual sale goes live and you get 30% off store-wide.
All right.
30%.
You know, can I tell you my only folic acid joke that I know?
Tell me, Steve. I can't wait for this. Yeah, go.
All right. You know how there's vitamin B1, B2 and B3?
Yeah.
I want to call folic acid B4 because it's supposed to take it before you fall pregnant.
Oh, that's terrible. We should have left that one off.
Should have left that out.
Table. Yeah.
But it's because folates are required for pregnancy to reduce homocysteine, neural tube defects. So I used to tell all of my students, and it got the same laughs as it got from you, zero.
Yeah, crickets, basically. She put some crickets in there.
So this has been up. B4 used to be a vitamin, and it's now not found out it wasn't a vitamin. That's why there's 4 missing.
That's right. Yes. So folate versus folic acid. So dietary folates, mostly in the form of methyl tetrahydrofolate.
Right.
And that's the form that our body uptakes. So that's kind of folic acid, and there's a few other forms of folate, folinic acid. They have to be converted and into this MTHF to actually be utilised in the body.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why we talk about inactive. So it has to be converted in the body, and then active. So your methylfolates and things we talk about often are active. So that's the form the body takes up very easily, or that's the form that the end result.
Yeah.
So, and there are some people that have, we've talked about before, MTHFR polymorphisms. So they struggle to convert that folic acid to the methylfolate. So therefore, they're the ones that need that. You've got the
I've got the little chart up there in the top corner there, Nick. So for those looking at home, it's this one, this little chart there. It's a real little chart.
Little, actually.
It's very little. It needs dihydrofolate reductase, which is the enzyme that converts it through. It goes into what they call the SAM cycle, S-adenosylmethionine cycle, and it adds
SAMe. Some people call it.
Some people call it SAMe because Me is methyl.
Yeah.
So if you add a methyl group to B12, you get methylcobalamin, and that then methylates homocysteine, which is toxic, and detoxify it through to back to methionine.
Yeah.
So it's a nice cycle. So you eat the folate. And with B12, it gets rid of toxic amino acids in your body and turns it into S-adenosylmethionine, which is good for your brain, all that sort of stuff too. So it's very good. And also B6 is involved in that. But that keeps your homocysteine levels low.
Yes,
and homocysteine's nasty. But,
it is nasty.
Okay, so folic acid. is bad because it's poorly. It's absorbed in the body, but it doesn't get into your brain.
No, it doesn't. So folic acid, it's the oxidized synthetic form.
Yep.
It's not found in nature.
Nope.
It's chosen generally, as we said, because it's cheap and it's stable. So it's chosen a lot for supplements, multis, things like that.
Bake it with it anyway,
Yeah. Its bioavailability and absorption comparable with both folinic acid, we talk about, and the 5-MTHF. Our bodies are actually better at picking up the synthetic form than the natural form.
All right. Now that sounds good, but it's bad.
Sounds good, but it can be bad.
Yeah,
right?
I know what you mean. I'm with you.
Yeah. So the MTHF is the one that crosses the blood-brain barrier.
Yep.
And the folic acid doesn't. It won't cross the blood.
No.
Blood.
Blood-brain barrier. Is that what you're trying to say?
Cut that out.
Oh, we're not cutting that. That's brilliant.
No, I'm tired.
Blood. I can't even say blood-brain barrier wrong.
Don't worry, I can say everything wrong.
What about putting your drink before?
I didn't have one. That's the problem, Steve. You didn't give me one. You didn't give me one of your fancy
Well,
drinks.
look, there's a product in there that's good for your skin, and your skin's perfect already, so I didn't need to make you.
True, exactly. That's right.
Well, that was brilliant, wasn't it?
That was good. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
So folic acid doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier.
There you go.
So for context, it's the afternoon. We don't usually record in the afternoons. We've already done one today, and I've been up since 2:30. So for sure.
All right. Well, let's stick to folic acid because you're
All right,
on
so folic acid. So there's some of the factors with folic acid, and then we have folinic acid.
Folinic acid. Now you're making words up.
Folinic acid. So folinic acid is what's called a mixed. Please forgive me if I stumble over this word. Diastereoisomer.
Isomers, yeah.
So they're molecules that are a mirror image of each other.
Yeah, and there's the left and right.
And there's a left and right.
Yeah.
So only 50% of the folinic acid is biologically active.
Which is the L side.
L side.
The L sides for humans are active. The R sides, the other sides are inactive, and that can be good and bad. We still use R's in the body, but not to make the body.
No.
So L-leucine, R-leucine won't be absorbed in the body. So, that's to give people a
L's
thing.
good, yeah. So, if you get a 500 microgram amount in a supplement, you'll uptake 250 micrograms of it. So that's folinic acid, bioavailability. Oh my God, we really should not be recording in the afternoons. And absorption is comparable with both folic acid and 5-MTHF. So absorbability and bioavailability is pretty good, but it also doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier.
Right.
So 5-MTHF, 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, Steve.
That's the good one, is it?
That's the good one.
Yes.
So that constitutes 98% of the folates in the human plasma.
Right. Okay, that's good stuff.
It's the form the body prefers.
Yeah.
And what is it, Steve?
A diastereoisomer.
It is a mixed diastereoisomer.
That's it. There we go.
No one has seen the 10 takes it took me to say that.
chemistry words. I just love them.
Okay. So it's also only 50% biologically active.
Yep.
So it's highly unstable unless bound to something, such as calcium.
Right.
So you got to watch that. If you see that in a product, make sure it's bound to something.
It's always
such as
bound
calcium.
to calcium's good.
And this one does have direct uptake across the blood-brain barrier.
That's the barrier we always worried about, the barrier to speech.
That's the one.
Otherwise known as the blood-brain barrier.
That's right, the BBB. Let's just say that.
It's the BBB. We can say that. It's harder to say than blood-brain barrier.
It's when you get tired, your mouth and your brain don't line up.
Nah, there's a barrier between them.
There's a big barrier. Yeah.
All right, how is it absorbed?
So dietary folate is actually the least absorbable, believe it or not. Dietary folate, least absorbable.
There you go.
So it has glutamate residues attached to it, which have to be cleaved off.
Yeah.
So there's a zinc-dependent enzyme in the brush border of the small intestines that are responsible for cleaving that off.
Needs zinc,
So if you have a zinc deficiency, you could also end up with a folate deficiency.
Wow, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because can't get that dietary folate absorption. So we have folate transporters, Steve, that move folate through the red blood cell, into the red blood cell.
Yep.
And their preferential form is folic acid, followed by MTHF.
Yeah.
But here's where the but comes in with the folic acid, Steve. If you have a flood of folic acid, such as over-supplementation or through dietary fortified foods, you'll actually downregulate these transporters. So therefore you won't be able to uptake it into the cell. So what you're left with is a lot of this unmetabolized folic acid just floating around the system.
That's amazing because there's lots of papers on this, and this paper here is a really cool one. Guess what it's titled, Nic?
Oh, I'm guessing something to do with folate.
The adverse of no, not folate.
Folic acid,
Correct.
Steve.
It's titled the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition: The Adverse Effects of an Excessive Folic Acid Diet. I mean, who would have thought that was a thing? And, it talks about the levels of folate we should be having, which is a good one. But if you have excessive folic acid, you're in big problems. Like the first one here is folic acid and carcinogenesis.
Ooh, that's not good.
No. Does everyone know what carcinogenesis means? Genesis is the first chapter of the Bible, but it's also the create.
Yes.
No, I didn't write the Bible. I wasn't around then. I'm pretty old, but not that old.
No.
So it's unfortunate. And unfortunately, things like colorectal cancer. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty scary stuff.
It's pretty scary stuff.
And remember, folic acid is usually given to women when they're falling pregnant.
Yeah.
Guess what another adverse effects of high folic acid is? Pregnancy problems, because it knocks out your favourite one or my favourite one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this paper is quite staggering and quite scathing on it.
And it's interesting. I'm not a fertility specialist or expert at all, so don't come to me if you want fertility stuff. But women who struggle with even miscarriage or unable to fall pregnant, but usually miscarriage and things like that, I always check if they're on folic acid and high levels of folic acid, because a lot of the cheap prenatals have all folic acid in them.
Yeah.
So I would usually get them straight off the folic acid.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah, and there used to be legally you had to have some folic acid in a prenatal, so they'd have some folic acid and then they'd have the active form. Yep. But there are now more that don't have any folic acid, so I would avoid that. Like plague.
Yeah, folic acid we're talking about.
Prenatals, folic acid, avoid that in a prenatals. There's lots of really good prenatals out there now. Thought I'd just put that in there. Yeah, give me another issue, Steve, unmethylated folic acid.
All right, if you take folic acid, it can knock out drugs that for treating epilepsy, for example. Yeah, so a lot of people take multivitamins thinking it won't interact with their drugs. Yeah. But if you're on phenobarbital, for example, a common one, then you can actually destroy your levels of these drugs and you end up getting huge epileptic seizures.
And that's one thing that people really need to be careful of is, and I see a lot in clinic, people come to me and they're on medications. I see a lot of people on medications and they're taking a slew of vitamins and minerals and nutrients, and they're not thinking about contraindications. And there can be a lot of contraindications. So there's that. Be careful of. And the other thing is they're taking multiple products and they're doubling up on a lot of this stuff. So I've had people that are taking multiple products that are getting folic acid from 3 or 4 different products because they're in the different products they're having. So that's another thing you really want to be careful of.
Well, it gets worse because let's say that I am a stable epileptic. I haven't got epilepsy, but because I'm taking medication, I'm stable, and I decide to go on a high-dose folic acid from a multivitamin or from a pharmaceutical that's sold in Chemist Warehouse. It gets over the, super 5 milligrams, and I'm driving home on the M1 highway and have a seizure.
Yeah.
And I'm cleared to drive because they're stable as long as I take this medication.
Yeah.
I'm taking the medication, the folic acid screws it up, and I have a crash and kill a bunch of people and myself. I mean, I'm giving you the worst case scenario, but it's not unreasonable.
No, it's not unreasonable at all.
So that's scary stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's one here, Steve. So there was a study, and we will put the study in. It's from Troen et al.
Oh, yes.
That healthy postmenopausal women given 400 micrograms of folic acid who consumed adequate dietary folate demonstrated reduced natural killer cell activity.
Oh, now natural killer cell sounds dangerous, but it's actually good for us.
Good.
It's a part of our immune system that kills cancer cells.
It does, yes. So it was knocking out some of our natural killer cells.
Wow.
And the association was strongest amongst 60 to 75-year-old women.
Yep.
Where the natural killer cell activity was reduced by 25%.
Oh, my God.
So that's a little bit scary.
It screws you strong, It's really scary because, people are taking this, thinking that this is going to be doing them good. Like it's a vitamin. It's a B vitamin. Remember, the B vitamin's totally safe. You can, they'll just go out in your pee and they'll make your pee yellow. Yeah. That's riboflavin, but same sort of thing. I mean, that's scary stuff.
Yeah.
That is absolutely scary stuff. What else is bad about it?
So there are some. I think did you just do a study on prostate cancer?
Yep, there was.
So there was the one on prostate cancer that's a possible link there, a possible possibility. We're not going to say causation.
And that was published in Cancer Risk of Folic Acid Supplements, a systemic review in the British Medical Journal, 2012. So this is a good, strong paper on that shows that there's a problem with prostatic cancer. Now prostate cancer is super common in men. Obviously, it's only in men. But any increase in that would make a huge difference to cancer rates throughout the world. Definitely.
And here's some animal studies from Kim, we can put this up, 2007. So folate deficiency can have implications in cancer risk. Okay. Now, that's interesting because if you're taking in a lot of folic acid, you're not absorbing a lot of it, possibly, in that unmethylated form. So you could end up with a deficiency or, you're not absorbing it well for other reasons to talk about, MTHF. So you could end up with a folate deficiency. So you can have too much folic acid that can have possible cancer implications, possibly, or deficiency because possibly you're not absorbing it well. And that can have implications in possible cancer risk as well.
Well, it gets worse because let's say you're having breakfast cereal that's fortified with folic acid, which is very common in Australia. Lunch, you might have a sandwich, which is bread, which is fortified with, guess what? Folic acid.
Yeah.
And you're going to be knocking out folate left, right and centre for breakfast, lunch and possibly dinner if you have something grain-related for dinner. I mean, and the grains themselves turn into sugars, which feed cancers.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, you're in a bit of trouble here. People do it every day. People eat cereal and bread every day. What are fortified foods? Are the ones you find in the fort, or what does that mean?
So fortified foods means they've just had vitamins added to them, basically.
And I bet they're the high-quality vitamins, right?
For sure, Steve. So these are the folic acids and the cyanocobalamin's. And a lot of times it's funny because with breads, for instance, a lot of them have natural folates and things in them.
They do, yeah.
So they take them all out.
Oh.
And then they put fake ones in there.
Oh, that makes sense. Perfect sense.
Ones. So fortified foods just mean they've had these vitamins added to them. So watch out. Look at your breads. And if you're having a really good high-quality sourdough, obviously that's not going to be fortified. It's more your mass-produced standard things. But breads, as you said, cereals, watch out for the nutritional yeast if you are a plant-based person and you're having a lot of nutritional yeast because it's super tasty. It is really tasty. It tastes like cheese.
Yeast sounds great.
No, but it's actually super tasty. So it's very popular amongst the population that are plant-based. So watch that as well. So check what you're eating and check what's in your vitamins. But, fortified foods just means it's had those vitamins added to it.
Okay.
Well, can I tell you something scary, Steve?
Oh, do it. You're going to terrify me, aren't you? I'm going to be up all night. What are you going to tell me that's scary?
And I see this a bit in clinic, and I used to work years and years ago. I worked in a business that sold a lot of nutritional yeast.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people on plant-based diets, vegan diets, they eat a lot of nutritional yeast because it's a cheese replacer, it tastes cheesy, and it's a flavouring thing. So they have a lot of. I know some people who are on vegan diets that have a lot of this stuff. One in particular was eating bucket loads of it because they're putting it in everything. It's fortified with folic acid and one of the other nutrients we'll talk about next, the cyanocobalamin. But how much folic acid would they have been taking in if they were having a big serve of that every single day? They were having breads, possibly fortified breads, maybe even some possibly fortified cereals.
Yep.
Massive amounts. So people don't even know, and that's the thing, they don't even know what they're taking in. And the other thing is we don't know the amounts in it. They could be trace amounts, but they might not be trace amounts. So how do you even measure how much you're taking in because it's not listed?
Oh, yeah, and you could also be on a multivitamin.
Exactly, could it be a multivitamin or like some people I've seen in clinic, they're on a multivitamin. They're taking a greens powder that's got all the Bs in it as well. Yeah. They're taking other nutrients that have got and that can be trace amounts possibly, but they're generally folic acid and cyanocobalamin, which we'll talk about next. So across the board, they could be taking in a heck of a lot of folic acid. Therefore, they're not metabolizing a lot of it. One, because, as we said, the body can't uptake a lot of it at once. And two, what if they have an MTHFR polymorphism and they can't actually convert that folic acid anyway? So therefore, it's more unmethylated. So they're just flooded with this stuff.
Correct. There's some people who have got this, and when I say some people, it's like 20-30% have got these methylene tetrahydrofolate polymorphisms.
Yeah.
There's two. There's 667 and 1298 or 96, can't remember now.
Yeah.
There's two that are problematic. And therefore, even if you take a little bit of folic acid, it doesn't get metabolized, it just hangs around. And it has to be excreted. And I mean, that's just blocking receptors for the good folate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you eat a lot of sugar in your diet, you block the vitamin C receptors in your body for like immune system and stuff. So, wow.
So and look, if somebody has no polymorphisms, MTHFR polymorphisms, and they're not having fortified foods, and they have no other issues, then folic acid is probably okay for them.
Yeah, but small amounts.
But what I usually do is I think, well, it all gets converted to the MTHF anyway. Yeah. So just give it to everybody, because then you alleviate, because a lot of people don't even know they have the gene polymorphism anyway. Then you're sort of alleviating a lot of those problems anyway. So
correct.
You may as well go straight for that.
Now, I don't know about companies. I know about our company, and we never use folic acid.
No, never.
It's just toxic.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? It's not required. So we don't do that. Is there anything else you want to talk about folate, or do you want to? So we've got so many nutrients to get through, haven't we?
We have so many nutrients. I mean, we could go on about folate for a while. Like there's lots, but we've got other ones to talk about.
But I do want to talk about another B vitamin, Nic.
Yes.
It's not 10, it's not 11, it's vitamin B12. Cyanocobalamin. Cyano, just to give people a bit of background, cyano is a colour, and the colour, because there's a transitional element in B12 called cobalt. And cobalt makes the nutrient quite coloured. So B12 is often very coloured, a reddish colour, which is like cyan. So, you'll see that in if you ever see injections of B12, you see them quite colourful.
I have a bit of an anecdotal story, though, not really a story about that. If someone was having issues, had vomiting, they were sick and they were vomiting, and they were vomiting up lots of red, and they thought they were internal bleeding. Yeah. And they're like, I don't know what's going on. And it went on for days. Didn't go to the hospital or anything. It was like, why would you when you're vomiting up red stuff? Yeah. And I said, have you been taking B12? Yeah, they've been taking B12. So it was just the red from the B12. So if you take B12 off, there's sprays now, you get a red tongue and.
Oh, yeah.
So if you cough up, you've had B12 and you have cough and blood and red comes out, just check if you're having B12, because it could be just that.
Yeah, and
if it's quite red.
Any doubts, see your doctor and all that sort of stuff.
Generally, if there's any issues with blood.
Gee, so B12, I mean, this is safe stuff, isn't it? What are you going to pick on with B12?
Well, there's different forms of B12.
Oh,
so
God.
There's cyanocobalamin.
Yep.
And that's the one that you see around a lot of the time. There's adenosine. Yep. Methylcobalamin. Yep. And hydrocobalamin.
The last three are found in food.
They are.
Said. So cyanocobalamin is not really, it's stable. This is like folic acid, isn't it? Yeah. The cyanocobalamin is the one that's usually in supplements, but it's the other ones that are found in food.
Exactly. So the adenyl, methyl, and hydro are all found in food naturally. Yep. And then the cyano is predominantly synthetic. Yeah. So then where the adenyl hydro, they convert to the active forms. Yep. And then the cyanocobalamin has a reduced conversion, so lower tissue level and greater urinary extraction. And it's interesting because I look at a lot of blood tests, obviously, all the time. I see high B12 a lot, and I mean high, super high. And so usually super high B12 can indicate actually deficiency rather than a overflow of B12. And a lot of it's because they're not absorbing it, because it's a cyano form. And again, they could have that. It's not being utilised by the body. It's not being utilised properly. And they've got the polymorphism for B12 as well. So you can have, folate issues with folate, the conversion of folic acid, and also the cyanocobalamin. Yeah. Now,
this is very important, because we're starting to talk about vegans again here, because vegans supplement a lot with B12, because I don't know of any vegan sources of B12 that are...
There is, but trace amounts. So the only ones that I really found were nori sheets. So the seaweed has very small amounts of B12. And the old eat mushrooms. You remember the old tagline, meat for vegetarians, and it was for the mushrooms because they were so high in B12. Well, they're really not.
No.
Again, trace. And I think it's mainly shiitake that have a little bit in it.
Did you swear then on the podcast?
I've many times I've wanted to swear. No, I'm kidding. So no shiitakes, but a lot of it was, I think they used to find trace amounts in the dirt.
Yeah.
Because they didn't wash them. And B12 is made from bacteria. So anywhere you see bacteria, you might see a little bit of B12, but they're different types, different sort of like absorbability. And we'll talk about one in particular. Another one that, we'll talk about it now. Why not?
Talk about it now. I'm intrigued.
A lot of people on vegan diets, I don't like to say vegans because it makes them sound like they're another species, so that you probably think they are.
They kind of are, aren't they? No, I'm joking.
Plant-based. Either on a plant-based diet or a vegan style diet. Right. A lot of people take spirulina because it's high in B12.
Yes.
Right? So, but
what?
You can't absorb it.
Oh.
So it's in a form so edible cyanobacteria, some species of cyanobacteria, including spirulina, amphozomenon and nostak. Are produced by food and pharmaceutical industries. And then the tablets containing spirulina are sold, so I'm just reading this off at the moment, as dietary supplements because spirulina are known to contain large amounts of B12.
Yeah.
But the commercially available spirulina tablets contain a type of B12 that really is unabsorbable.
Wow. Okay.
So, and the majority of edible blue-green algae is cyanobacteria. Mm-hmm. Edible shellfish predominantly contain an inactive coronoid known as pseudovitamin B12. Pseudovitamin B12. So,
jeez.
So the spirulina tablets, most of the B12 in that is what they consider a pseudo B12.
Pseudo B12, so that's like a fake B12.
A fake B12, really. So interestingly, it has a very low affinity, absorption, all that sort of thing. So people on plant-based diets who are having their spirulina and their algae and things with the B12 may not be really getting much benefit from that whatsoever. If for the
doesn't
B12,
benefit from the taste. I remember in the old days.
I know I used to do spirulina, like bucket loads of spirulina when I was training years ago because, long time ago, spirulina was all the go.
Yeah, I used to take it.
I mean, it has other benefits just for the B12 factor.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's kind of probably, if you're having it specifically for B12, probably don't.
No. It's very interesting because when we talk about B12, it is a tricky one to get in your body. I mean, unless you're an omnivore. Carnivore diets have got bucket loads of it, but it's a tricky B vitamin because it also it can lead to, if you're low, and it can lead to anemia, but not the anemia that you and I know of iron anemia.
Megablastic anemia.
Megablastic.
And I know how I know that. I used to have megablastic
and pernicious anemia.
Yeah, and pernicious.
Oh, did you have megablastic?
Yeah, megablastic anemia.
I didn't. Why don't you tell me all your diseases? I don't know.
We haven't got that long, Steve.
No, it's like, God.
No, but megablastic anemia I did have. And so I do B12. And I had very high homocysteine levels. So there you go, Steve.
My mother did too.
I'm not going to tell you how high they were. They were horrendously high. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, B12. So
my mother's were, I think, above 20. They should be below 6 for those who are playing along home. But I've got her on a product now. It's not one of ours, but it's one that's, I can't really say what it's for, but it's got active B12, active folate, and active, a few other things in it. And it's reduced it dramatically.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go. I see a lot. I see megablastic anemia. If you know you've got megablastic anemia, if your mean cell volume is high, about around 100 or 97 and up.
Yep.
Could be.
So that's MCV on your blood test.
MCV on your blood test. So you look at that. And do you want to hear the ironic thing about we produce B12 in our. We produce B12 in
Tell the story. I love this one.
So we produce B12 in our large intestine.
Yep. And where's it absorbed?
Small intestine.
Oh, shit. Hang on. It's the wrong way around.
It's the wrong way around. So we produce it in the large intestine, but too late. We can't absorb it there.
So we flush our B12 down the toilet.
We flush it down the toilet, basically, yeah. So
That's a crappy design, isn't it?
It's not very well designed.
Why couldn't it be...
the other way around, right? I know. Then we could be like a self-sufficient B12 maker.
I just thought of a podcast idea. If we were designing the human body, what would we change?
I could think.
I could think of some blinder things.
Yes, so could I.
That'd be one.
That'd be one, definitely.
Oh, no, I'd get rid of all the need for vitamins.
Yeah, exactly.
No. We're going to have a job.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
True.
We'd be
We're out of a job.
That's right. We're going to need supplements galore.
Definitely.
But, like there's shit designs in the human body. It really is.
Yeah.
I actually, this is my first year students in anatomy. I got them to say, can you pick a design feature in the human body you change? Because it helps them study anatomy. And people would come up with, and I didn't mark it hardly. It's first years. And there were different things with joints and prostate. They'd have the tube going on the outside instead of squashing like a donut. Just stuff like that, or stuff like that. It was amazing. A lot of people choke to death every year in their lives. So you have two
just
tubes. You just have a different sort of
big
swallow system.
Lots of things. So we produce something called intrinsic factor, Steve.
The hell's that?
So intrinsic factor helps us absorb B12. So where's that produced, Steve?
It'd be in the stomach, wouldn't it?
Yes, it is. So that's produced.
She sounds surprised that I got it right. Oh, wow.
Tick.
Sick.
That's produced from the parietal cells. And if you go back and listen to podcasts we did on...
PPIs.
Yeah, PPIs. We talked about parietal cells and all that sort of stuff. So if you're having problems with acid production, then you can also have issues with intrinsic factor.
What if you're on PPIs?
If you're on a PPI, well, that's one of the things. The first things they say with PPIs, you'll see, and I do see, and they say to supplement with B12. It's one of the first things that will become deficient in if you're on a PPI.
Not stupid cyanocobalamin.
No, not stupid cyanocobalamin. So if you have any sort of issues with acids and things like that, and then there's pernicious anemia, as you said, where you're not producing your intrinsic factor. So there's a few issues around that. And then, as we said, there's a polymorphism. Some people just can't convert that cyanocobalamin, and that's when you can see it raise quite high in your B12 levels. And here's another little fact for you, Steve, when we go back to folate and B12. So high folate. So if you're taking a lot of folic acids, connect this up, a lot of folic acid, it's unmethylated and it's flowing around the system because you're taking in too much. Therefore, your folate levels look super high. High folate will actually mask a B12 deficiency.
Wow.
So you've got too high folate levels because your folate's just floating around, and then it looks like you've got great B12 levels when you may be deficient.
Ooh.
So both of those, so your cyanocobalamin and your folic acid combination doesn't go well for a lot of people.
Jeez.
So
people are going to throw their B vitamins out after listening to us.
Well, they might be going to go check them and see what forms they have with their B12 and folate.
Have we enough? So Nick, okay, there's all this cyno business going on. What B vitamins does a naturopath, i.e. you, prescribe for your patients? What forms?
I prescribe hydroxycobalamin mostly because it's still an active form. And anyone can take it if they've got the polymorphism or they've not.
Correct.
So I find that's just a nice, and it's not too harsh. So sometimes if people have issues with methylation, you can over-methylate somebody.
Oh.
So if you're giving methyl B12s, it can be a little bit strong for some people. So I do the hydroxy because it just seems to be a little bit easier for people to handle. So that's one thing. So don't just rush out and buy methyl forms of these straight away. Maybe check if you need them first. And if you do, if you have the polymorphism, you don't always need the methylated forms anyway. So like the hydroxy can be good. And then if you're taking these methyl forms and both of them in big amounts, then you can over-methylate yourself. So then you need to stop. So don't just rush out and get these methylated forms and start downing them because there can be issues. So you just want to be a bit careful. But hydroxycobalamin is
nice,
a good
safe
form
pair of hands,
of B12.
Yep, gotcha.
So I use that a lot.
Good. All right.
Let's move on to the next one, Steve.
Well,
so we're still on the B train.
Oh, no, you're not going to pick on another B vitamin, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to pick another B vitamin.
Which B vitamin's copping it in the neck out? What?
This is one of my favourite Bs, actually. B6. Well,
say it.
B6.
B6. What's wrong with B6? B6 is good for PMS and all that stuff.
So good. Neurotransmitter production.
Yeah.
So many things.
What are you talking about? What's wrong with B6?
Nothing. It's just the form, Steve.
Or can I say pyridoxine?
Pyridoxine, yeah.
That's normal B6. What's wrong with that? But give us it.
Well,
is it active in that form?
It's not active, no.
Oh, well, that's a bad start.
And so some people can have issues with it. They can't convert that one either. So you want to look for more the pyridoxal 5-phosphate or the P5P.
P5P,
listed as a lot.
Yep.
That's the form that your body can utilise. If you get the pyridoxine, it needs to be converted in the liver to the P5P. So anyone that has any compromised liver function won't be able to convert it effectively.
Okay.
People that have inborn errors affecting B12, B6 metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
So drugs that affect the metabolism of the P5P, as you said with the other drugs, celiac disease, so that can lead to malabsorption of your B6.
Celiac disease, a lot of people have that. That's a gluten, I'll say intolerance. I won't say, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right, so there was a paper written on all this, it's called Disorders Affecting B6 Metabolism, and it's a 2018 paper. And it is published in the Journal of Inherited Metabolic Diseases. So that gives you a clue. You inherit this metabolic disease and you can't take B6 like pyridoxine.
Yes.
You have to take pyridoxal phosphate. So one of the problems, one of the first problems people get when they take high-dose B6 is they get peripheral neuropathy. Their nerves in their hands start to screw up.
Yeah.
Because it literally, like we've done with the other vitamins, it blocks the pyridoxal 5-phosphate because it occupies a receptor. It's a similar chemical. And so you become locally B6 deficient, even if you're taking loads of B6, just the wrong form.
That's right.
Isn't it amazing?
It's amazing, yep. And it's funny because I've had clients that get that peripheral neuropathy.
Yep.
And I've put them on a proper B.
Yep.
Gone within days.
Gone within
days. Yeah.
Love that, eh?
Yeah.
I mean,
so your B6, your P5P, as we said, it's essential for neurotransmitter synthesis.
Yep.
Serotonin, production of serotonin. It's a cofactor for the conversion of tryptophan to 5-hydroxytryptophan. It's a cofactor in the synthesis of dopa to dopamine.
Yep. Very important. Now, there is an enzyme that activates B6, and that's the ALDH7A1. That's a genetic code. And if you've got that, then you cannot take B6 like pyridoxine.
Yes.
You have to take pyridoxal 5-phosphate, or it leads to all sorts of disorders here that it literally, I'll hold them up, all those disorders. It's like all of them.
Pretty much all of them.
Pretty much everything. But neurological, behavioural, like the first one in the behavioural one's autism. How many autistic kids have this thing and they've been treated with all these other drugs when it could be just treated with pyridoxal 5-phosphate?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the cure for everything at all. But it could be one thing, you know what I mean? I mean, even white matter abnormalities, so brain abnormalities.
Yeah.
You know, hypertonia, hypertonia, dystonia, tremors, irritability, lethargy, sleep disturbances. It just goes on forever. I'm not going to read a list out. The podcast will be over. Just crazy. Seizures, just crazy amounts just from that one inherited disorder.
Yeah.
I find that remarkable.
It is remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore you want to look for the active form of your B6 as well.
Yep.
And again, across the board, it's just easier. Then you don't have to think about it. Whether you may not need the active form, but a lot of people do. So just don't need to think about it. Just get the active form and look for a supplement that has the active form of your folate, B12, and B6, and you're pretty good then.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't have to worry about a lot of this stuff.
I mean, there's so many.
And avoid fortified foods, people.
Yep. And here's another symptom picture of a B6 deficiency. Look at that.
Wow, yeah.
That goes on forever too.
Yeah, and I use B6 a lot. I use it for a lot of premenstrual issues as well, obviously mental health issues as well, anxiety, that sort of thing. So B12 is super important. It's used for so many things.
B6 this on.
Sorry,
yeah. B12 is super
B12
important
as
too.
well. I was just saying, Steve.
You were just reiterating it?
Reinforcing.
The disease is going forever. This is just nuts.
Yeah, B6 is
why bother with why do they bother with the
because these never used to be even available in Australia.
That's true.
Even up until the last few years, they've only just become available in the last couple of years. So for a long time they just now we know so much more about. We can look at so much more in the body and say, you can't metabolize that. You have that issue. So we now know a lot more.
All right. Yeah, it's amazing. So surely you've finished picking on the B vitamins now.
There we go, done.
Good. Can I give you one?
Give me one, Steve.
Beta-carotene. Ooh. Paper here.
Okay.
But I'll beta-carotene, just to give you a thing, is one of the carotenoids that are found in vegetables.
Orange.
Yeah. It's an orange. So if you think of carrots, that's high in beta-carotene. That's where it gets named from. So it's the orange one. There's alpha-carotene. All that. Now, beta-carotene is kind of important in the whole scheme of things because it can be converted into vitamin A in the body. So beta-carotene's got this pretty good vitamin A conversion. And vitamin A and beta-carotene concentrate in the lungs. Okay, so it's highly protective for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So some bright spark well, I shouldn't say that. It's not a bad idea, but there's people there's two people on this earth, people who smoke and people who don't.
Yes.
Smokers have much higher rates of lung cancer. So let's examine whether if we give them an antioxidant that specifically treats the lungs at a high dose to see if the lungs are protected against cancer if we give them that. Now, you don't just tell people to smoke. So this is what they call a cohort study, where they give them loads of beta-carotene that smoke. So they pick out all these smokers, and then they've got a control group of, who don't take the beta-carotene. They did this over a long period of time, and they found that the smokers that took the beta-carotene had higher, and I'm not mistaking that, higher rates of lung cancer. Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing, yeah.
I found that incredible. That you give them beta-carotene, which is found in vegetables.
Yeah.
And it's a form that most people take. And it's about 20 to 30 milligrams is what they gave them, and they had much higher rates of cancer by 24%.
Yeah. I mean, we're not saying if you smoke, don't eat orange vegetables.
I'm saying don't take beta-carotene.
Don't take beta-carotene in the form of food, and it's fine.
Yes, in the food. Now, the reason why that is because smoking causes all sorts of ill health, but one of the things it does is it increases free radical production.
Yes.
Now, when you get a free radical in the body and you've got these antioxidant systems in the body with mold, they can shuttle around these extra electrons because oxidation is loss of electrons.
Yes.
For the chemist nerds out there, think of oil rig. Oxidation is loss of electrons. Reduction is gain of electrons.
Oh, look at you with the little isms.
I'm a chemist. I'm my first degree. So I used to have to teach chemistry. You don't have to make it simple for naturopathy students because, naturopaths and chemistry don't mix.
They're not those naturopaths.
Those bloody naturopaths.
No.
But so you have to make it, not dumb it down, but basically oxidation is a loss of electrons. So when you smoke, electrons are given off and it's called a free radical.
Yeah.
That's not a student on campus protesting.
No,
It's a free radical is an unpaired electron.
Yes.
Because electrons like being paired up in nature. I'll keep it simple. So you get a free one, and you'll see it written. There's like a little negative against something like the peroxynitrate free radical is ONOO, a little negative.
Yes.
That's a little free radical. And then it's a superoxide free radical, which is O2, little minus there, unpaired electron. Freak out. Danger. So dangers and attacks our DNA and damages the DNA.
Yeah.
So the idea is let's give them a strong antioxidant, protects the lungs, blah, blah. What happens is that when you have one single antioxidant on its own in super physiological amounts, that becomes a free radical itself. Because it takes the electron and goes, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And it hangs onto it and dies and becomes a free radical itself.
Yeah.
And because it concentrates in the lung, you get free radicals concentrating in the lungs.
That's it.
And you die of smoking related. Now, the answer to this is don't smoke.
Well, that would be the first answer.
That's the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth recommendation from us.
Yes.
But if you're going to, don't take beta-carotene.
Don't. Yes.
Because it increases it. And this was published in Cancer in 2008. And and it's called Beta-carotene in multivitamins and the possible risk of lung cancer among smokers versus former smokers. Former smokers, nothing happened to them. It's a meta-analysis. So an interesting paper, isn't it?
It is interesting, yeah.
So
that was one of the first things we learnt when I studied.
Yeah.
So don't give smokers beta-carotene.
It's kind of like beta-carotene. I mean, the average Joe six-pack who doesn't smoke, and beta-carotene's virtually non-toxic.
Yeah, definitely.
In fact, in the olden days, they used to give people a huge dose of beta-carotene. They'd turn a bit orange.
Yes.
Like a Donald Trumpy look-alike.
Yes.
So they'd become a good, and they'd have that accent. No, I can't do Donald Trump.
Orange palms once.
I know. I got orange. I got orange palms.
Because it was one.
So
yeah, orange palms I got because I was too much beta-carotene.
Well, I was at a conference where they had carrot juice and beetroot juice on tap.
Oh no! So you went orange and you plead red.
I went orange, and
I'm dying.
And my can I say this on camera? My poos went a bit funny colour too.
Yes. Yeah, well, that happens too. And sometimes if I have had people say, oh, or you have a big thing of beetroot and the next day you're like, oh, hang on, Did I have anything beetroot? Because this could be a problem.
Yeah.
So you looked like an orange, and
I looked like I was a Republican,
red poop.
the leader of the Republican company that keeps getting shot at.
Oh, no.
That's nasty.
That's nasty.
Poor guy.
And then we got one more, don't we, Steve?
Oh, I've got two more.
Oh, you got two more.
But the one of them's in my brain.
So, that's the mystery one.
The mystery one.
So let's do the non-mystery one first.
All right. The mystery one, so I don't know why we didn't think of it.
Oh, you're going to say it and I'm going to kick myself.
You are going to kick yourself, but this one you're going to kick yourself.
On vitamin E.
That's another one that I decided not to talk about.
Too.
Yeah, because there's DL alpha tocopherol, which is synthetic form. That's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's number 7 or whatever. But I want to talk to you about magnesium because I'm drinking it now. I swear to God.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm just going to tell you how bad it is. Because magnesium is interesting because it's all about the form. Like I think people are learning now, folic acid, folate. They're different. There's one. Magnesium oxide is horrendous. Now, it's poorly absorbed. So there's a bit of a, it's poorly absorbed. It's not absorbed, it's poorly absorbed.
Yeah.
So what a lot of the oldies are doing with magnesium is that, when you get old.
Not even oldies, Steve. Not even oldies. I get a lot of people doing this too in clinic that aren't old.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it works as a good laxative.
Yes.
So this paper's on oldies, so I'm picking on oldies. So people oldies. Even older than me. But magnesium oxide is commonly prescribed as a laxative, and this is a Japanese study, so in Japan. Guess how many people in Japan take it as a laxative?
80%.
Oh, I don't know the percentage. I was just
You asked the question.
Hit me with a number.
I did, 80%.
Oh, I don't know. What's the percentage? A number.
Deja vu.
10 million Japanese.
Right, okay. 5 million.
No, it's 10 million.
Oh, okay.
10 million.
That did not go well. Okay,
that didn't go well at all. And it used by almost
10 million Japanese
10 million.
Yeah. That's
and also, so okay, so they get constipated, they take magnesium. Magnesium is good for you, so we'll take it. Yeah. And it doesn't get absorbed. Most of it doesn't get absorbed, so you go through. Okay, let's say you're older and your kidneys aren't functioning as well. Say you're over the age of 65 and you take this as a laxative, the magnesium still gets absorbed a little bit and actually can become toxic.
Yep.
And actually can kill you. So
high enough amounts, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So they end up with hypermagnesiemia, which is too much magnesium in the blood. And that causes all sorts of problems in the elderly because they can't get rid of it because their kidneys aren't functioning as well as their bowels.
Yes.
So so if you're taking this as a laxative or even if you're taking it as an antacid, let's say you're not using this as a laxative, but you're on some antacids, like remember the quickies and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
One of the ingredients is magnesium carbonate. The carbonate neutralises the acid, but the magnesium can be absorbed. And if you take too much of it, you can get hypermagnesiemia, which is too much magnesium in the blood.
Yeah.
Causes all sorts of problems, kidney problems. So magnesium can be toxic, whether it be in the carbonate form or the oxide form.
Yeah.
So we've got to have forms that are very healthy for us, that are absorbed and regulated by the body. What are the top 4 magnesiums? Magnesium orotate, magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate, and what's the last one?
3
That's the one.
Yeah.
So they're really good forms of magnesium.
Yeah.
And might have a drink now.
And it's funny because you see a lot of the multivitamins.
Yep.
Go back to that. The less expensive ones.
Yep.
And they have folic acid, they have cyanocobalamin, and they have magnesium oxide.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking at the back of your label of your multivitamins, you're running to your cupboard now and getting away, you're listening to this.
I hope that.
Look out for those because I see them all the time. And so I would change people from if they're having something because they're just not good forms and we don't know if they can absorb them or not.
And what about pyridoxine, B6?
Oh, and pyridoxine.
And what about beta-carotene?
Yeah, we don't see beta-carotene as much.
Oh, don't you?
Not
used to
as
be.
much.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. Well, that's good news.
But look out for those on any supplements that you're taking. And as we said, some people, they're okay with them, but why do it when there's a better options that your body can absorb? So
100% agree.
Yeah.
Or I got my mystery one that I thought of halfway through the start.
I'm going to kick myself as soon as you say it, aren't I?
Iron.
Oh, yes, iron.
Iron, that's right.
That's an ode to Elisma.
Yeah, hey, Elisma, if you're listening, good. That was so funny. She doesn't listen. Oh, my God. I love her. She's so sweet.
She's awesome.
You know, when she moved, I bought her a housewarming. Guess what it was?
You say you bought her a house. I'm like, what's Steve?
Oh, yeah, I bought her a house. Yeah, no. I bought her a housewarming. You're not going to believe what it was.
What?
A rat trap. I'm not joking.
Oh, she would have loved it.
She was telling me about the rats at the property.
Yeah, they're the size of dogs.
I bought her a rat trap. Two rat traps.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I know. She's gorgeous. We love her.
Awesome,
Such a smart woman.
Oh, literally.
my God.
If put you and her in a room together, smartest
Well, we
people
have
on
been in a
earth.
room together. We used to share an office.
Yeah, because she's doing a podcast. She's very, very, very smart. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so impressive.
She's
so
amazing.
impressive. Lovely,
Anyway,
lovely husband.
She says
Lovely.
iron because she's South African. That's where the joke came in.
The joke, iron.
I was like, what are you talking about?
And it's funny, ever since you said that, I look at the way iron's spelled, and it's spelled iron.
She's exactly right. So she said to me, so she said, how do you say ion? Like an ion. And she goes, iron.
Yeah.
Because ION.
Yeah.
But iron is IRON. And she's completely right, but that's the English language. It's strange.
Well,
at
she's
the best
right.
of times.
In chemistry, an ion is a charged particle.
Yeah.
So we talk about ions a lot, you know. Iron. And it's funny because iron is what do you straighten out your clothes with?
I don't.
What does she call that thing?
An iron.
An iron.
Oh, I haven't ever asked her.
Or does she call it? Wait till I see her next time.
Wait till I see
What do you call that thing that helps get the wrinkles out of your clothes?
She irons either. I have an iron machine. It's called a dryer.
Oh, you call it dryer.
Actually, I don't have one of them.
See, here I'm hanging out in the
I'm not
line
an
like a
ironer.
sucker.
I do like ironing, but I'm not an ironer. Anyway, moving back to iron. Yeah, why didn't we think of iron?
I don't know. But there's some really crappy
it in
forms you can
context.
get from
It can cause constipation, Steve. There's a link there.
There's a link there. Absolutely. So if you can take magnesium oxide to get rid of that. So don't worry about it.
Just take the poor forms of iron and then get constipation and then take the magnesium
The
oxide.
poor forms of
you're good.
magnesium, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So there's iron from a pharmacy, which is a terrible form. It's an inorganic form. That means it doesn't have any carbon in it, just to keep the nerds happy. I'm talking chemistry a lot today. And they use iron sulfate, FeSO4, right? Yep. So it's iron sulfate. And they use the right form of iron, which is iron 2, but sometimes I've seen iron 3. So there's ferric and ferrous iron. You don't want the 3 type. No. You want the 2 type because that's the heme type iron. Yeah. So they get, but I've seen iron 3 something, and that's a terrible form of iron. Yeah. Doesn't get absorbed. No. You need vitamin C to absorb it because vitamin C is an antioxidant. Yeah. And of course, iron 3 plus is a pro-oxidant. So, it's like, it's problematic. So that's why iron doesn't really need vitamin C to help absorb unless it's the wrong form.
Yeah, exactly. And what was I going to say? So if you're getting digestive issues from taking your iron, constipation, all that sort of thing, then you're probably taking a pretty poor form because it really shouldn't create too many issues digestively. No. I use iron all the time in clinic and don't have issues with it because it's a good form of iron.
Do you use iron diglycinate?
Yep, diglycinate, that's the form I use, yeah.
That's a good form. Yeah. The reason why is because that's absorbed as a molecule of glycine, which is 100% absorbed because its protein's pretty much 100% absorbed. So, gee whiz, I'll tell you what, I can't believe we didn't add this, but there's loads of studies.
Tip on the iron before I cut you off, Steve. So a lot of them are taking Multifor. This is a doctor gives them Multifor.
Oh, yeah.
And it's 100 milligrams of iron.
It's elemental. It's huge.
Huge, right? So if you're going to take, and then they're told to take it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, this is about forms, not dosages. They won't absorb it. So people are, I'm on this Multifor and I'm taking massive doses and I'm still iron deficient. So there's something called hepcidin.
Yeah.
That comes in and blocks the uptake of iron because it's a protective measure. Your body doesn't want to absorb too much iron at once, so it will block it. So usually it takes 24 hours for the hepcidin to go down. So that's if you're taking high dose iron, don't dose it every day because you won't absorb it. You need to dose it every second day.
Yes.
And there's other issues. Is you can't just take an iron supplement with toddle along. There's a lot in it, and to be able to get maximum absorption of the iron. But form is a big one. So
massive.
Yeah. So a diglycinate is probably one of my favourite forms.
And you got to remember that you need 18 milligrams of iron a day. I only need 9. So men are very susceptible to being over ironed. Yeah. And there is a condition too. That humans suffer from, that if you've got this, you can't regulate how much iron you absorb. Yeah, hepcidin doesn't come out. So you absorb all the iron. So if you have a condition called, let's just call it hemochromatosis, and you've got that and you're taking 100 milligrams of iron a day, you will destroy your liver. I know it sounds melodramatic and...
Because iron's it's a heavy metal.
Yeah.
So you're going to have high amounts, and that's why iron infusion, we can go off another tangent, but iron infusions is another thing that I see a lot. And then you're getting a massive influx of iron at once.
Yeah,
that's very toxic.
It is toxic, and you have to be very closely medically monitored
Very
if you're
closely,
going to.
yeah.
Because that's a dress. They give you injections too, but it causes massive bruising and that sort of thing.
I had a client once that they didn't even get it in the vein. So push a hope of iron, her whole arm went black. And,
I am going to tell my nurse wife that one.
yeah, pretty bad.
Because you shouldn't be missing veins.
No, it's pretty bad. So, but
Holy
yeah, so iron, don't just go out and get an iron supplement if you're tired is another thing I see. And I've even had clients that have been given iron by their GP that haven't had their iron tested.
Oh.
So, and there is too much iron can sometimes have very similar symptoms to not enough iron. So you think, I'm tired, I'm fatigued, I'm breathless, I'm all these things, I must be iron deficient. Well, you may be too much iron, less likely, but don't ever just take iron without getting your iron levels tested first because, you just don't do that. So,
Like I'm a carrier for hemochromatosis, but I haven't got hemochromatosis.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty common.
really common, yeah.
Really common too. My mate in Melbourne, best mate in Melbourne, he's got hemochromatosis.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few people in the clinic with hemochromatosis. Seems to be more men than women, but I have seen women with it too.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Well, men don't bleed.
Yeah.
You know the song? Only women bleed.
Oh, I didn't know that. I never listened to it. You never really take notice of the lyrics, though. You just sing along, and then one day you go, "Oh, hang on, I really didn't look into
That's
what
a beautiful song.
Yeah, it is a beautiful song.
Alice Cooper.
Didn't know Alice Cooper sung that, but there you go.
You didn't know?
No.
He's got some really good ballads.
Oh, there you go.
But Alice is the Prince of Darkness. He's
I know.
awesome.
It's like all the
School's Out for
kills,
Summer and
scream.
Poison. Yeah, well, Alice is brilliant.
Yeah.
He was in the original 1969 sort of Woodstock in California. He was one of the lead acts there. That's what made him to fame. And when he got a chicken on stage and threw it back out and they tore it to parts and it made him famous. You probably remember all that. Yeah, but that was quite a famous gig in '69, the year I was born.
Man now, anyway. Hopefully, he's not doing that to chickens anymore.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
So that's a real problem getting the vein in there. It's like,
It was pretty bad.
geez, I hope they fix that problem and iron that out.
They just set her on her way. Oh, ow. Okay, let's move on.
That was a good joke. Come on, that was a little bit funny.
I'll give you that off the cuff. It was
that was good.
Yeah, this time in the
off the
afternoon
cuff
and
with the IVs.
second recording for the day. That's pretty good. I'll give you that.
Pretty good. So iron, be a bit cautious of iron and don't just go out and load up because you think you're iron deficient.
Yeah.
Now, here's something I discovered the other day. You can get ferritin tests from the supermarket.
Can you?
You can. Like a little self-test. Remember the rat test with the COVID thing? There's influenza A tests, there's RSV tests, and there's ferritin tests.
Now, can I tell you the problem with that, though, Steve?
Oh, please. Ferritin is stored iron for those.
Ferritin is stored iron. And I see this a lot on blood tests. Doctors will only test ferritin levels. So someone might be at the doctor because they have an issue, right? If they've got it, as in like a health issue, and if they've got a health issue, they may have inflammation. And if they've got inflammation, what can happen is your body can store iron in as ferritin because it's taking it away from the circulation, because if there's inflammation, there could be a bacterial infection or a fungal infection, and they love to feed on iron.
The bacteria loves
iron. Sequesters it all away, stores it as ferritin. So your ferritin levels can look fantastic, but you could be actually really deficient. So that's why if you ever get your iron tested, get the full iron panel. Don't just get ferritin. If your doctor says, I'm just going to order ferritin, say, no, I want the full iron panel, and you want your CRP done as well.
CRP, C-reactive protein inflammatory marker,
Because then you know if there's inflammation. So I've seen ferritin levels, around 100, 120, 130, which
should
is really
be above
good.
30, below 300,
Yeah. And the doctors say, you're great, you're fine. But the rest of their iron they're totally depleted and deficient. Look at the hemoglobin as well, if that goes down. So
red blood cell hemoglobin.
So just a ferritin, if you go to the supermarket, and I didn't even know they existed, and just get a test for ferritin, just be mindful that if you've got any inflammation and it comes up fine, you may actually be deficient, possibly.
Very interesting.
So you want to get all your iron levels tested. But it's not about testing, it's about form. So summary, form does matter, Steve.
Form does matter. Yeah. And it's amazing because look at all these forms here that I bet you $1 million someone's got in their pantry right now.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
At least 2 of those. If a cheap multivitamin doesn't have 2 of those, I'd be horrified. I'd be amazed.
Yeah. Well, even a lot of the well-known greens powders that are out on the market that have all the micronutrients in them. They have all those forms in them.
Really?
A lot of it, yep. Some of the big brand ones do, yep. So check your greens powders if you've got your micronutrients in there as well.
See, this is where seeing someone like you, I know the practitioner range pretty well, like not as well as you do, but seeing a practitioner like you get the right form.
Yeah, I'll look at everyone's supplements. I go through them, make sure they're taking the right ones or if they need them, that sort of thing. So it's really important. You've got to make sure you're putting a lot of toxic stuff in there or something your body can't actually convert. So, yeah.
And I'm going to play very devil's advocate here, and I don't agree with this, but this is why companies do it, if you're wondering. It's because they're cheap, they're stable, and it's still vitamin E, vitamin B6, vitamin B9, folic acid. It's still legit, allowed, everything like that. So they're not, they're not purposely toxing you out.
No.
They're just trying to make a buck like any business should.
And if you take getting a cheap vitamin and you go, but it's great, but it's cheap, there's usually a reason for it because they put cheap forms of the nutrients in there that, as you said, sometimes can be a problem.
So better see someone like you, Nicole Brown, Naturopathy. If you want to book in with her, you can. I mean, this is fascinating stuff. I think that's all we've got time for, Nick.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad we ironed that podcast out.
Oh, my God.
See, they're getting worse than that. We better call it quits.
Let's go quickly before he tells another joke.
Well, I'll see you next week.
Yeah. See ya. Bye.
Nick.
Steve.
This is my favourite part of the podcast.
Mine too. I love this. I'm so glad it's back. FAQs we're talking about, people.
Yeah, FAQs.
FAQs.
So this is a really interesting one because we've got some questions that have been sent in about certain things. Now, you're a naturopath. You practice as one, Nicole Brown Naturopathy. It's amazing. You're booked out for a bit, aren't you? Pretty busy these days.
I'm booked out at the moment, yes.
All right, that's good. Now, here's the first question. It says, I've been struggling with some potential food sensitivities, but I can't seem to figure out exactly what they are. I often experience bloating, fatigue and skin issues after eating, but I can't tell if it's from dairy, gluten, or maybe even eggs. I've tried eliminating different foods, but it's hard to know if it's working or if it's something else. I really want to deal with this naturally without relying on medications. What advice would you give me how to identify these triggers and manage food sensitivities using a more natural approach? Thanks so much for all the great content you guys provide.
Oh, there Steve you go. From Southport.
Yes, this is Steve from Southport.
All right, so food sensitivities.
Yeah.
How can you identify if you do have a food sensitivity?
Yeah.
So what I usually recommend is, I recommend gut microbiome testing, obviously, because I'm a naturopath.
That's it, yep.
That would be where to go on the high end. But I usually recommend people to do an elimination diet. So you take everything out. So the big ones, so the eggs, the gluten, the dairy, usually corn,
soys, peanuts,
things like that. Take them all out. Wait for, and then see if the symptoms settle, because a lot of times they will, and then add them back in one at a time.
Yep.
And then add one back in and wait 2, 3, 4 days. And if you don't have any reactions, any sensitivities, then you can add in another one. And then you can generally identify what the sensitivity is from there. And you may have multiple sensitivities.
Sure.
But that's a good way to start to see if you can identify what's actually causing it. But most of the time, sorry, I cut you off.
That's right. We used to call it a rotation elimination diet.
Oh, there you go. Rotation elimination. Rhymes. But generally, if it's a food intolerance, it's because of the microbiome.
Yeah, microbiome's huge.
You want to get back to look at your microbiome.
Get your poop tested.
Right. I'm going to read this one to you, Steve.
Oh, okay, go for it.
You're reading
sure.
the last lot. So this is Michelle from Canberra.
Hey, Michelle.
So hi guys. Lately I've been feeling like my metabolism is slowing down. I'm not as energetic as I used to be, and it feels like my body isn't burning through food the same way anymore. I'm hoping to avoid taking supplements or medications. Are there any natural ways to give my metabolism a boost? Thanks for all the great info on the show.
All right, very good question. Very common question, I imagine. People feeling they're slowing down, fatigue and that sort of thing. The very first thing I'd recommend is maybe getting some baseline blood tests.
Yes.
I know you're a big fan of that.
I love
That's why I'm sort of saying it from, because you want to find out, like, okay, let's just pick two common ones. Iron deficiency for a woman, or it could be low thyroid, again, common.
Yeah.
You could go down a pathway that's way off. We could give you herbs, adaptogens, and your iron's low, it's not going to adaptogen your iron back up.
It's not. Well, you can take Withania. That's a good iron booster.
Oh, it is.
But don't do that. Just do that.
So I mean, that's what I'd firstly do. The second thing I'd do is all right, let's say we don't do. I'm trying to be devil's advocate. There are supplements that are very good for energy as just general tonic anyway, activated B vitamins and some of the ginsengs. So that could be a good way to see if that helps you do it. Third thing is maybe look at your sleep.
Yes, that's a big one, sleep and
It's
diet.
huge. Oh, yeah. If you're eating a lot of sugars and junk food like that, that will slow your metabolism down.
Yeah.
Or if you're not eating enough food, protein, it will. There's a thermic effect of food called TEF, and protein's up at 25. So protein will boost your metabolism anyway to get the thing. So I'm trying to, like, first and second, third, fourth, get tested, find out what it is.
Test, don't guess is my motto.
That's
I didn't make that one up. I stole it.
Yeah, and that's a test, don't guess. That's a goodie.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go, Michelle.
there you go, Michelle.
Try that, Michelle.
Yeah.
I'll read the next one to you.
Okay.
Hey, legends, especially you, Steve, because you're so hot.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
not
Chloe
written there,
says.
by
Oh,
the
no,
way.
that's not written.
That's not.
I've been feeling completely burnt out from looking after my elderly parents. It's like running on fumes, and stress is my new best friend. My nerves are so shot. I'm pretty sure I could jump out of my skin if a leaf fell near me. Wow. Are there any herbs or natural supplements that could help me feel a little bit more zen and less like I'm living on the edge of a breakdown? Oh, shit. Thanks for keeping me sane with all the great info and laughs on the podcast. Thanks, Chloe. Chloe. All right, Nick, that's an interesting one and probably a common one too, I'd say.
Really common. So she's just sounds like she's got adrenal maladaptation, which is really common with the whole if I could jump out of my skin if a leaf fell near me. So that whole jumping thing, that's real adrenal stuff. So that's your adrenaline and your cortisol levels are like on the edge there.
Yep.
So herbs or natural supplements that could really help me. So she's looking after elderly parents. So there's things that she can't change. She can't modify some things. So some people, I'm super stressed. You say, well, yeah, just
get away from the stress.
Sometimes you can't.
Dump your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is.
Right.
Flick them. But you can't. Your parents.
No, you can't.
Can't flick them.
No, you cannot. Well, you can't. No. So nutrients and things. Well, yes. So B vitamins again, really good for the nervous system. Magnesium, nice and calming. Magnesium's really good. And then we've got really nice calming herbs. You got your passion flowers, your skull caps, ziziphus, things like that. Really good and good to help you sleep as well.
Yep.
Those ones. Some of my favourites. There's some of my favourites, and some of my other favourites are L-theanine. Steve?
Oh, yes.
You can give L-theanine. It's the compound that's found in green tea, but it actually reduces your cortisol. So it helps you feel calm but still focused.
So magnesium threonate.
Magnesium threonate, Steve. Yeah,
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I also like GABA.
GABA.
I give GABA quite a bit as well. So that's quite a good one as well. It's very
was
calming.
banned in my days.
I know. No, you can get it now through Naturopath, through compounding.
Wow.
Siberian ginseng is good because it's actually it helps to give you energy if you're burnt out, but it calms you down as well. So it's quite a good one.
It's called an adaptogen is what we call it. Yeah, that's true.
Withania is obviously your ashwagandhas, if you like to call it. So all those really nice adaptogenic herbs, and then your Bs and your magnesium's nice and calming on the nervous system.
I'm feeling zen
and some
already.
stress management stuff there, Chloe, as well. Get some breathing, deep breathing, or some meditation, or some time in nature if you can help it.
Yeah, good on. That's good, Nick. That's good. I think that's important because, yes, remove yourself from a stressful situation, but in this case they can't. They have to adapt to it.
They do,
which is good for adaptogens.
It is.
Makes sense. All right, Nick, well, that's about all we've got time for.
Yeah, write in if you've got any questions you want to ask us.
Please write in.
To the list and we'll answer them on the show for you.
We'll see you next week then.
See you guys. Welcome to the ATP. Stop. It's
what did I do?
No.
Well, she goes, I was like, what was I picking my nose? Or what?
No, the way you're smiling, it's like.
Oh, okay.
Don't smile, Steve.
Don't smile, Steve.
Sorry.
Don't
Oh, my God. And she goes, that's not helping. So, it's, well.
Did you get that?
Was
that good?
Yeah, that was good.
I think I said it wrong, but if you say it fast, no one knows. Unless you make a point of it.
So you only use half of it. Oh, no, she's crying. Where's the tissues?
It's fatigue. All right, cut that out.
Now she's crying. Where's the tissues?
Actively active. Can't do it. Damn it. Did I get it right that time?
No, it's
I'm. Why is it so hard to say? Diastereos.
Are you faking it now? You're making me laugh.
I'm so not even faking it. That's a sad thing.
I'm going to cry in a minute now. Yeah, when I was a kid, I struggled with words too, but now I'm 50-something.
Third time lucky.
Okay.
Or fourth. Fine. Don't look at me like that, Steve.
Where am I supposed to look? I don't know where to look.
That can constitute. This is the one.
This is the
Stop
one.
being silly. Let's just do it, okay?
Okay. I should just shut up,
Everyone
shouldn't I?
just calm down.
Okay.
All right. Okay.